Brilliant. Okay, good. Welcome. Okay, well, this is our second session of the day. It proves to be an interesting session, I'm sure. And I will read you the title, and that will kick us off. It's Tech Meets Art. So that's always fun, right? Real big part of what these next 3 days are about. Tech meets art, the harmonious convergence of tech giants and creative minds. Do they get in the way? Do they complement each other? We are going to find out. So just before we kick off, I think it'd be a nice idea for our fantastic panelists just to spend a minute, just tell us a little bit about them, what they do. So Antoine, let's start with you. Introduce yourself to everybody and tell us what you do.
Sounds good. So nice to be here today. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm Antoine. I'm a co-founder and CEO of WB Show, which is an immersive production company. So I actually started the company with Fabian, which is sitting in the audience, back in the days in Shanghai, 7 years ago. And we started the business as production of immersive experiences for brand activations in Shanghai first, then in China, then in Asia, specializing in the luxury market and helping like big brands like Hermes, Cartier, Chanel to perform like big activation in Asia. We switched the model. Before it was 20%, 80% of the activity. Now 80% of the activity is like creating immersive permanent projects for the entertainment world and also cultural heritage projects. So we are operating in Asia, Europe and Middle East through like kind of smooth one-third of projects in the different markets.
Amazing. Very qualified to be here by the sounds of it. So
thank you.
Let's find out. Mohammed, tell us about you.
Hi, I'm Mohammed Khoja. First, I'm happy and honored to be here, part of the panel. I'm the co-CEO of Backyard Experiential. Backyard Experiential is a company specialized in blending art with technology to design, execute and operate immersive experiences in museums and events and cultural activation. And we have a project incubated in our company producing IPs to the market.
Are you a company based here in Saudi?
Yes, our company started from Jeddah and now we're operating from Riyadh and Jeddah.
Excellent. Welcome to the traffic.
Thank you very much.
Finally, Ruth on the end.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Welcome, thank you for coming.
I'm founder and director of Under Wraps Event Choreography, which is a company that produces live entertainment. So our original core business was the corporate hospitality market in the UK. And then through doing that, we expanded into the theme park entertainment world and then grew into the Middle East. So we do shows for Global Village in Dubai. We've worked at Ferrari World in Abu Dhabi, and we just recently have partnered with Doha Quest in Qatar. So we have a wide experience of that sort of market, and the projects we do range from things that have a sort of 6-month incubation period and then run for a year to one-off events where we maybe have 2 days to set up and then you get one chance at getting it right. So a kind of broad spectrum.
They're good fun, those ones, aren't they?
Yes.
They really are.
Yes.
Yeah. So just do it now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So this is going to be a great session, guys. And it's something that I think probably everyone in this room will have encountered in some way. How do we harmoniously connect this kind of cutting edge technology with this awesome creativity? And it's really it's interesting because sometimes I think we take these two parallel paths and it's not always clear at what point those paths should converge. So I think that's really what I want to get into today. So let's start by talking about first, is it important to merge these things? And if it is, assuming that it is, Antoine, you'll tell us in a moment, how do you envisage, sort of broadly speaking, how do you envisage this kind of collaboration between tech companies, the sort of technology and the creative minds that are putting this stuff together?
Starting a little bit broad, sorry for that.
Jumped out my skin there, yeah.
I think for any type of project that we're talking about, it can be an event, it can be a permanent project, it can be entertainment or anything, what we need in this world is to create strong emotions. There are a lot of studies which are, showing and explaining the fact that strong emotions and strong memories are usually here when there were strong emotions. So it can be any emotion, it can be fear, it can be excitement, it can be happiness, but this is what really makes you remember something. And once again, it can be in any field of work of entertainment, but this is really the key element that we need to consider when we create an element. Having said that, I think it's really important to make sure that everyone is aligned on this purpose, and then everyone is making sure that this is well in mind.
Excellent. Mohammed?
First, we are an ecosystem, the cultural ecosystem. We have a mutual benefits between the creative minds and technology companies. So I think the ideal collaboration should be start with open communication, define what the mutual benefits between the creative minds, individuals in creative industry, and the technological or technology company or technology giants that will capitalize and make the artist and individual make an equity from their artworks and creative works that will empower them to going forward, that empower them to be more creative for the next one, be more creative for the projects that being applied on the market. I think it's the mutual respect, the business behavior and professionalism, and the same time respecting of the creative process of the creative minds, and just put them when in one table with the mutual benefits.
I think that's a really good point. It's getting everyone around the same table.
Exactly.
And getting them there at the start of the project, right?
Exactly.
Because then you've got the best opportunity. Ruth, do you want to add anything to that?
I think that was going to be exactly the point.
Really?
We've got the why you do it, why you would want to bring the two together.
Yep.
But for people out there who are looking to merge creation and technology, time is so important, and an understanding from whether it's the client or the project manager, the production manager, that you've got to bring the two elements together as soon as possible.
Yep.
So that they can start understanding the challenges that each is dealing with, and then not make each other's jobs harder, but actually make each other's jobs easier.
And I think, we'll all see some incredible new pieces of tech at this show over the next 3 days, whether it's lighting, sound, robotics, whatever it is, right? There's all sorts of stuff going on, and sometimes it's a challenge, isn't it, for creatives who are given a brief to create a show, to create a concept, an experience. How do we know about these new pieces of tech? And I think this is why these shows are so important, that we get together and we go and visit these, and a lot of the time, from talking to tech companies that are developing this brand new technology, they're like, we've got this great idea and we've got this great thing, and look how amazing it is, and it's it works so well, and it does this and it does that. We don't really know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And very often that it's that moment, isn't it, to get the creatives in the room with the tech giants right from the start of the project, and then you can create something really new and really incredible.
Yeah, I would just add something on the different type of challenge that we might be facing. From event industry, where we are in GCC, when the show is coming, there is a very short timeline to be able to produce, and we need something which is never seen before. So it's already a different type of challenge, because you need to understand. You need to have automatism with your team. You need to be able to understand exactly what you will be able to deliver in a very short timeline, and it's a very different type of challenge when you conceive something for a huge real estate group and you have 2 years of development. And the challenge is very different, but as Mohammed was saying, it's about having teams that are respecting each other, understanding each other. But the first phase of the project, which is actually the most important, as you mentioned, put everyone in the room, but also implement process that will make sure that the creative minds will be fueled by the technical teams, and make sure that you can enhance a creative vision by the technology that will be implemented. And this is about process and communication.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. All right, look, let's bring it a bit closer to home. Let's bring it a bit closer to Saudi. I want to ask the panel, and maybe we'll start with you, Mohammed, on this one. Do you think that the integration of technology and art can it enhance this kind of Saudi Arabia's sort of cultural identity, if you like, on the global stage? Is there a way that we can merge new technology that will really enhance this? Because Saudi Arabia, what an incredible heritage, right? An incredible history. How does that work? How can we pull those two things together?
All right. I think the integration between technology and art in Saudi Arabia that can help showcasing the rich culture of Saudi Arabia, especially that combining between the traditional art or traditional cultural artistic patterns and modernize it and use it in a digital showcases and digital technology that will embrace the creative field and cultural individuals industry or creative individual in the industry, and it will help both ways. It will help first Saudi Arabia to and Saudi people to deliver the message to the world that this kind of gemstones that we have in regards of many kind of cultural aspects. You can starting from the architecture and design of the and heritage of the country, patterns and visual arts that started performing arts and dances, folklores and others can be first just give the statement to the world that this is the Saudi national culture, and this is the authenticity behind this cultural activation. The way around is the cultural individuals will benefit and will get benefit from the global exposure to the world, and can have an idea how to apply new technologies and especially the emergent technologies around the world. Time by time and month by month. Now it's not year by year or century by century. Month by month we hear a new technology, new algorithm of AI, a new emergent technology that developing. So we have to keep up, and the Saudi cultural individuals in the creative field. So have to keep up with the new trends that are coming from globally and the new trends that can be used. So it will help both ways, and this is how the cultural exchange will happen. And I think I can proven practices that happened historically, like the cultural exchange between countries, that like participating in I think cultural exhibitions or tourism exhibitions that can expose the cultural identity of any country.
Sure. And I think that plays into what Nick was talking about in the last session, especially, right? When we attract the Gen Z, when we attract these younger and the younger population, the younger demographic around the world, and there's using that technology to communicate with people all over the world. Antoine, did you want to?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So, I think Mohammed will be, of course, more relevant to this question, but there is a stat which is absolutely incredible, is the fact that there is 63% of the population of Saudi Arabia which is under 30 years old. Starting our own company in Shanghai, where there is a young generation, and young generation are obviously more keen on embracing new technologies, new forms of entertainment. I think it's extremely interesting to be in this playground, because now the question is more, how do we do it to respect the cultural and the heritage of Saudi Arabia? And just to conclude, I think we see from abroad so many magnificent projects, taking the example of Alula, taking this beautiful landscape and integrating very beautiful projects into that. And the question for us is, how will we do this nicely and respectfully?
And the good and amazing thing about technology or blending the art with technology is a universal language. So you don't have to, especially I don't mean that we don't have to translate some of the content or some of literal, but I mean the kind of mediums that we are using in technologies or emerging technology to showcase and display art is universal. So you don't have to put any word in it. You don't have to put any kind of verbal more than voices and music and put the cultural aspect in it.
You're totally right. And I think you've got some really good experience of that, Ruth, haven't you, in terms of creating shows and pieces of entertainment that are for a universal audience that don't necessarily have to have any spoken word in to convey a narrative. So
Well, no, that's right. And I think the original thing, ultimately technology and what we do on a stage, they're just tools.
Correct, yeah.
And it's for the people who are working with those things to take that forward. And there's, Nick's previous thing about the Gen Z generation, they're coming through, they will use those tools to take this. And, you only have to look at every museum, art gallery in the world at the moment is changing the way it's presenting its artifacts to the younger generation. They know that people aren't going to walk into a museum now and stand in front of a glass case and stare at a mummy. It needs to have some kind of interactive digital technology behind it to draw in a younger generation, and I think the youth of this country will absolutely run with that.
And funny you bring that up. We have a session on just that later on today, so stay tuned, everyone. All right, look, let's get into some real-world examples now. So I want to come to each of you individually. We'll start with you, Ruth, on this one. Can you share a real-world example of for us of how a piece of tech has enabled a show element or a new art form, or that has kind of seriously enhanced a show in some way?
Yes, I mean, I think there's two ways of looking at technology. There's the stuff that you can see, and obviously it's amazing. You come here and you see some fantastic stuff. But from my point of view, there's also the stuff behind the scenes, the advancements that are making our life more efficient, quicker, which allows me more time to be creative. So a classic example of that is this WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. It used to be that maybe you had a show, you've got one day to set up, one night to light it, and then the next day you're performing. So that would literally mean sitting through the night with the lighting designer trying to light the show. Now you can create the stage on a CAD format, you can get real life lighting on a computer technology, you can sit with the lighting designer, at a desk in a cafe and light the show in an hour. And it won't be 100% accurate, but what would have taken you hours and hours and hours of programming is now something that can be done in an hour, and then tweaked when you get on site. So from my point of view, that kind of technology is life-changing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah,
it is. And I think after that you can turn it into virtual environment and take it VR to the client. So you cannot, you don't have to go for a site visit to imagine or something. You just can wear the VR headset and use it as an imagination of how it's gonna be on site. I think what we have an experience in backyard experiential is the most efficient way is the impactful. So let me first to name the types of projects that I think all companies in creative industry have all these types. First, you have the project that you have to deliver to the client, the full brief from the client, and you have to just execute it and operate it. The other one is the most fun, and I think it's mixed between creativity and conceptualization, and then executing and operating the project. This is the most fun, I think, part of because they will take some of the responsibility and sponsorship of financial sponsorship of the project. And leave the room for creativity to have a concept. So we focus on this kind of type of works and work with the government and especially the Ministry of Culture in Saudi Arabia and define the impactful program. So we put the ideas of the impactful programs, like mixing between the developers, AI experts, and artists, individuals, just to create the new ideas and new mediums in the market, like the artificial intelligence, maybe artificial intelligence art, or another digital art, or how to NFT art to the creative people.
Okay.
How to create a design solution came from the creative field and creative mindset and individuals, and spread it and expose it to the actual world, to the commercial and business world, and make this collaboration in an impactful program like hackathons, events, maybe a hub, like a permanent space with a hub that can gather people, creative mindset, and stakeholders in the ecosystem.
Sure. Antoine?
Yeah, I will take two different examples as concrete as possible to explain that. First one is an immersive museum that we developed for a US investor in Dubai recently. So it's a 4,000 square meter immersive space, 12 different rooms, 12 different technologies, and a very innovative concept. And we started to use this tool, which is Unreal, which is a game engine. I'm sure Mohamed knows this. So it's first of all helping us when we design an immersive museum to understand many different aspects of guest experience, of content, of speed, of many different elements, but it's also something that is helping every single person in the project. It's helping the relationship with the architect, it's helping the relationship with the client that can actually project himself in the project. We can plug VR as well, of course. And this piece of technology is really used a lot in Asian market and also in GCC market, because we need to project our clients into what it's going to look like. Second example is very different. It's I'm going to talk about opera. We started the company actually doing quite a bit of opera in Europe. We have part of the team which is really focusing on that now. From the Bolshoi to Monte Carlo we did the reopening of La Scala in Milano recently. And opera 10 years ago was not using video mapping. Of course, he was using technology, lighting, sound, etc. But video mapping bring to the opera something which is very powerful, and which is, enhancing the art piece that is being created. And actually what is interesting as well is, like opera, it's not an event, you take 1 year of development, there is a lot of R&D, people are extremely ambitious, and they will never let go anything. So when you work on opera, you'll have 1 year of development, a lot of text, some people will tell you, okay, I want to do video mapping on chains, I want to do crazy stuff with like tulle fabrics and stuff, but with level of precision which is absolutely amazing. And there will be 1 month of on-site finalization, and it's not like new technology, but it's the way that technology is bringing something new to an existing market.
Yeah, and it's that way you get everyone's buy-in, don't you? Whether it's Unreal, whether it's whatever that kind of format is, that pre-visualization format gets everyone's buy-in from the initial outset. And many of us in this industry, we have to look at spreadsheets, right? We have to look at written documents and all of that. But actually, putting on a VR headset, looking at an Unreal, looking at a WYSIWYG CAD file, you feel it, you see it, right? You understand it, and that's a real interesting part of it. It gets everyone's buy-in, and then when you go, actually, you can see we've got a dark area there. Well, that bit needs. If the projection was a bit bigger, we'd cover that a little bit. You get everyone's buy-in, and then it's a choice, it's a decision. Do we put more budget to this? Do we work with what we've got? Because you can literally see what you're going to get, and that's fascinating. That's really interesting.
And I think if you may
sure.
add up, I think it's the most efficient way is to give the people, creative individuals, actually what you mentioned, Antoine, the museums and immersive experiences that ignite my excitement and fresh up my memory. And one of the examples, I think it made an inspiration to the creative minds, is not all the artists, especially the talented and professional artists, they are not skilled with the technology, new trends or new technology development. So we executed one of the project. Half of the project is executed by creative individuals. We made them. Yani, we did an open call for individuals collaborating with General Entertainment Authority and Ministry of Culture, and we did a call out for the artists to submit their artwork, and we have a collective of artworks. Then we asked him to develop it and digitize it only for a digital painting, and we took this digital painting and turned it into animated projection mapping in a gallery.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, because we have the capacity, and here with tech meet art and with the sponsorship of the stakeholders.
Sure. Yeah. I think you make a really good point, and it kind of it quite nicely brings me on to my next question for you guys. So if we agree that converging the technology and the creativity as early as possible, pulling that all together, you talked about education, you talked about artists not necessarily knowing about tech, and tech people not necessarily knowing about art. So when do we start? When do we do that? Do we do that? Do we teach artists about the tech? Do we teach tech people about the art? What's the plan, Antoine? What should we do?
So the plan, I will try to talk about what I can manage. I mean, not education. There is great schools. I mean, the head office is in France. I live in France.
Yes.
There are great schools that are coming up, which are actually very interesting to see. There's a lot of different type of school popping up. Even in China, I see a lot, especially in Shanghai, schools where you can actually learn like creative coding and stuff, but you can also understand from different modules technology and stuff. And I think it's a great starting point. From what I know and what I can manage, I mean, what we try to do as much as possible, and actually we have a weekly meeting which is dedicated to put creative and technical people together. And the way that we process that is like we have Middle East, we have Europe, we have Asia, we have everyone together, and we tackle like ecosystem projects. So every week, like there is many different in a specific Slack channel, there's specific projects which are coming up, project that we are developing as well, and then we stop on maybe 5 different projects and we discuss about the technology, we discuss about the creative vision, and we challenge different opinions on how we could have done better. But it's, I think, really putting a platform for people to be able to really interact and learn from a different technical challenge. If you're not interested, if you're not empathic about how do you push it to the next level, if you're not interested to find a solution to go further, and you're just a creative that wants to be okay, I want that and I don't want something else, it's not going to work. So people needs to be, I think, very curious, very respectful, and open-minded about understanding the fact that there is limitation, but there is a way to go around the limitation and finding this solution that will make and create the strong emotion that we mentioned.
Yeah, Ruth?
Yeah, I think the more and more there's emerging multidisciplinary academies now, isn't there? And I know that the Saudi Entertainment Academy aspires to bring these things together. There's an excellent place in Sharjah, this SPAA, and none of their students concentrate on one thing. They all have their specialist topic, but then their projects that they work on are all collaborative. So dancers don't just dance, musicians don't just play music, video people, everything that they do, they bring together. So I think there's that in terms of education, but I just think looking outside in the real world, like, 1,000 years ago when I was a dancer, you just danced. Now a dancer films their dance, they edit it, they add filters, they upload it, no single performing artist anymore just does what they do. They all have multi-skills, and I think that's just the generation that's coming up.
This is why we all gave you headphones today, so we can fight with this loveliness. So I hope you can still hear us all okay. We'll make sure we're as loud as possible for you. No, you're totally right, Ruth. And I think what's nice about somewhere like, you talked about Sharjah Performing Arts Academy, what's really nice about somewhere like that, I got it from the acronym, is that, a singer, right? Let's say a young girl that's decided she's a singer, right? Or a dancer, or whatever it is, right? And obviously her parents, her siblings, her family, you're amazing, you're wonderful, you're going to be a big star, so she pursues it, right? And then she gets to college or university or this academy, And suddenly she realizes, oh, there's lots of people better than me at this. And actually what I really like doing is editing the music that goes along with it. So I think, you know, pulling those educational elements together and those different genres together really gives young people especially, and again going back to Nick's Gen Z, you know, those the younger people as well, you know, what do you want to focus on, what do you want to do, and it's all available to you, and nothing's better or worse than any of the other things, and you can really focus on what you enjoy.
And just an understanding of the myriad of things that come between what you see on the stage or on the screen, you know, the process that you go through to get to that. You know, there's thousands of jobs that most people don't know exist.
Even exist, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally right. Okay, right, it's crystal ball time now. All right, so you guys are creating your next project, your next show, your next experience. Let's look into the future. Let's look into the crystal ball. What kind of emerging technologies are you excited about? Or even better, what would you like to see invented? What have you done something? Have you got to a point in a show production where you've gone, oh, I wish I had one of those. That'd be amazing. That would really push this. Is there some kind of crystal ball you can look into? Is there an invention that you'd like to see? Is there emerging technology you'd like to adapt? Antoine?
Yeah, I'm talking to my friend Sajan from MediaPro right there.
Okay.
I would love you to invent a projector with auto calibration that will be really powerful and that will allow with one single projector to have like in a matter of few seconds, few minutes to change completely the stuff. And the things that will be very, I mean, this is really something that we would like to see on the market. After, more realistically speaking, on the short term, we are looking a lot at the innovation that is being performed right now in Shenzhen on the LED screens. So there's a lot of new interesting ways to treat the transparent LED screen. This is really something that we integrate a lot, especially in the big real estate project where we have this huge light pollution project, not the ability to completely kill the light pollution and do like a musée Atelier des Lumières project.
Yes.
So yeah, LED. I think it's really having a lot of things. AI. I think we might talk about.
I think we'll come to AI. Yeah, absolutely. We can't hide from it, can we?
Yeah.
But no, you're right about. I mean, you're right about environments. You know, how many of us get to work in a lovely black box theatre nowadays? We're working in environments out in, you know, in the outside space under a tent in a room like this. You know, so the better that technology comes, the better that LED technology comes. Then obviously that helps.
But once again, just to finalize on something which is maybe a step ahead, is the fact that I believe right now is really about merging different technologies but creating new effects, not relying on only one technology to achieve something which is completely new and expect this, but it's really about finding new ways to seamlessly integrate different technologies to create new impacts, new surprise, new experience for the audience.
Mohammed, what would you like to see? What can we invent for you?
I think in 5 and to 10 years from now, I'm excited to see what kind of boundaries that can be pushed by artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Especially that we right now, I think all the AI artificial intelligence in creative field is like in early phases of learning about artificial intelligence, especially that the creative professionals that now it's plugged in the most known and most used softwares in creative like Adobe Suite or others, but using the prompts, using the kind of enhancing and developing the design process, developing the creative process of doing any kind of a creative product that could be amazing. Not producing art or not producing cultural activation by AI itself only, but it's an integrative process between the technology and creativity.
Sure.
So you have to plug in the technology where it belongs, maybe in writing the concepts, maybe in the fine-tuning the end product at the end, not relying or replacing the artist or creative individuals, but just to enable them more, just to accelerate accelerate, I think, the kind of thinking. So it's like giving a microchip to the artist and make him think in 1,000 ways. And push boundaries for the creativity to them.
It's another tool, isn't it? It's another tool in our toolbox. That's the thing about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I still want to see colors, and I still want to see the dirt on colors of
Absolutely.
the people, of the painters. And I love this, and I love the actual, genuine art. But I want to see more and more pushing the boundaries of the creativity of the concepts.
Amazing.
That's, I think, will actually attract also the other people to go in this, I think, creative industry.
I agree, yeah. Ruth, crystal ball?
Yeah, I think this is probably more immediate future, but I think there's a real.
We'll find it for you, whatever it is. We'll find it.
And I don't doubt that it's being developed. But I just feel the live events that I'm working on, increasingly people are looking to live stream their events, and at the moment there's a kind of competition between the experience for the people in the live audience and the people who are watching from home. Particularly lighting, and the cameras need the light to film, but to get a real atmospheric experience, particularly if it's theatrical, you at the moment have to overlight, so the people in the audience lose the atmosphere, so that the people at home can see the event. So whether that's a lighting thing or a lens thing, I don't know.
Or a sensor thing, I have no idea. I'm sure someone out here will know and will help us with that.
But at the moment, one or other, it kind of has to. Somebody gets the raw end of the deal, and I think there is definitely a way going forwards where both benefit.
Amazing. All right. I'd love to talk more. I think we could have lots of more conversations about this. Tech meets art is a huge subject. We will have more sessions or similar sessions around this. I think we've probably got a couple of minutes left for some questions. If anybody has a question, there's a gentleman here and there's a gentleman there with a microphone. So this is all working wonderfully well.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
Thanks for the interesting discussion that we just had.
Sure.
So I have a question with regards to the risk that is involved in creativity. Of course, risk there in everything, but especially in the creative field, there is more element of risk involved. So how do you see, first of all, how do you guys manage around that risk when you know that a technology is there and you have to create something new with it, and you don't know exactly how it will be taken by the audience?
Okay.
Number one. Number two, for Mr. Muhammad, how do you see the region can deal with creating something new and not just copying? How do you see that this region is going to respond to this demand, let's say? Sure.
Mohammed, do you want to take that one?
Sure. I can answer for both questions if you...
You go right ahead. That'd be very efficient.
All right. Okay. For the first question, I think my point of view is managing the risk. I always tell my teammates and team members of the company, we have to be creative as much as we can, but we cannot neglect and we cannot ignore the project management aspects, all the project management aspects that need to be taken, especially that risk management. So I think we just put the risk, the usual or international standard for risk management standard or procedure to be part of the process. So we identify and register what kind of risk that we're gonna have, especially with emergent technology and new kind of experiences with the people. So you have to build up with the consumer and end user what kind of enhancements, what kind of developments that you're gonna do for the next one, and put it as a risk that you can mitigate for the next one. This is my point of view for the first question.
If you don't mind, I have a second way to answer this question before you take the second one. I think there are different type of risks. There is a risk of technology being ready for what you want to deliver in 2 months for an event. There is a risk of physical risk, which is probably the most important for the audience and for the people that will be interacting with you, the experience that you are developing. And I think this is, I mean, the main topic that we're tackling today is like how can a creative develop an idea without like strong technical director by his side telling him, of course, we'll achieve something very ambitious, but there is limitation. And the first limitation in any project is a physical risk that you might bring to the project, and this is why the combination and the talk and the process for this specific collaboration between creative and technique is super important at the early stage, but in the entire course of the project development.
And I think your point about you develop something new, it's new tech, how our audience is going to respond to it. How is the company that's creating this? How are they going to respond to it? And I think it goes back to a question we were talking about earlier, and that's this pre-visualization that we can do now with Unreal or whatever it is, that you can actually. You can almost see the event, see the show, see the new piece of tech, before it goes live, or at least a really good pre-visualization version of it. So I think that makes people comfortable. I think that helps people to kind of go, oh, okay, I see what you mean. Because if you're talking technological aspects and equipment and all of that with people who aren't in that world, they don't really understand necessarily all the time. So this idea of being able to visually see something in a VR or in Unreal or whatever it is helpful too.
And I think, and this is what I always, when I'm fighting my corner for the live performance aspect of a show, is possibly don't rely on the show being one single thing, so that if an element does fall down, it's multi-tiered, so the other tiers hold it up. And I know that's not always possible, but that would be my suggestion, that you have many people in the game, so that if one player falls down, the others keep running.
Yes, true. Any more questions from our lovely audience? Wonderful.
I think
oh, you've got your second question.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm so
it's
sorry.
my responsibility to
Yes, you must.
Yeah, I must. In this region, I think we put a standard in the cultural and entertainment industry that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So we have to develop what already being trendy around the world, because now I think the audience is global. The audience is not about the audience of Saudi Arabia or audience of region of Middle East or the area are not or are mature enough, and they saw what the new trends and latest technologies, and especially latest digital artistic mediums. So we don't reinvent the wheel, and we have to push boundaries to get more concepts that can develop the old concepts. I can give you an example that one of the artists worked with us in a project. He used Picasso, the painter Picasso. He used the Picasso style of doing paintings and works, and give it to the machine learning, make the machine learn about the style of Picasso, and he invented or produced an AI art called Saudi Picasso. What if Picasso is Saudi, and what kind of work that can be invented with the style of Picasso, with modernized visual arts? This is kind of pushing the boundaries for creative fields and producing a new concepts that align with the new trends, the global trends around the world. And I think we have to put this under consideration. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We either bring the authentic original one, either live shows or paintings or other kind of cultural and arts, but if we want to do something more like the Van Gogh experience, that can be the immersive experience of Van Gogh that happened here in Saudi Arabia and happened in multiple countries around the world.
Thanks.
If you allow me, making me thinking about something is like we're talking about mixing creative and technology, and actually one just small thing that I'm thinking about is,
sure,
like if you think about the most famous digital artists these days, you would potentially name Refik Anadol, and he's coming from coding. And actually, he's the most successful creative artist right now, but he's coming from the technical background of engineering and AI, computer coding, etc. So I think it's a good example of how it's important today to be extremely well connected between both.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd love to talk more, but we do have to wrap this up because we've got another great session. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, please join me in giving a big round of applause for our fabulous panel, Ruth Tranter, Mohamed Kouja and Antoine Metias. Thank you so much for your time. Stay with us. We're going to have a group photo from our lovely photographer over here before we leave. And while our photographer sets up, let me tell you about the next session hosted by the lovely Nick Murphy. He's going to be back on stage talking about From Grad to Great, empowering Saudi talent for entertainment excellence with his panel. So he'll be with you in a few moments. Oh, it's photo time. I think we're ready.